These are key moments when it comes to an American perspective. You look at the last 10 years from an Iraqi perspective, that is not what they remember. They remember the moment when their father, mother, brother, sister, lover, friend last saw them. Those last words that they said before that individual was inexplicably, brutally ripped away from them in violence that to this date they still cannot understand. The violence really began to exist after the UN bombing in August of 2003. And then from that moment on, at first it was slowly increasing, but by 2004, violence was everywhere. And then it began taking on a slightly different nature. And in 2005, we really began to see the evolution of the sectarian civil war that took place. And by 2006, after the bombing of the shrine in Samarra in February, that was when it really took on a sectarian nature.
In Baghdad's morgue, women cram into a room to watch a screen with images too gruesome to show, hoping for a bloody glimpse of a loved one gone missing.
But again, one has to remember that it wasn't just the sectarian warfare that was happening in Iraq. You also had the militias that were fighting the Americans, the al-Qaeda element that was fighting the Americans. You had even intersectarian rivalries that were taking place in some areas. You had tit-for-tat assassinations. You had tit-for-tat bombings of mosques. People had to change the way they dressed, the way they walked in the street. At one point, a lot of Iraqis were carrying two IDs with two different names on them, one that was Sunni, one that was Shia, to be able to cross sectarian front lines. At one point, there was literally nothing that anyone could do to keep themselves or their families safe.
If they see us wearing gold, this woman says, they watch us and then kidnap us.
The Mehdi militia really emerged in 2004, and there were some pretty fierce battles that took place in southern Iraq, in Kufa and Najaf, between the U.S. military and the Mehdi militia, which is loyal to the radical Shia cleric Muqtada al-Sadr. In Baghdad, their stronghold was what is now called Sadr City. It used to be called Saddam City, and it is this massive, sprawling slum that is home to millions. And the U.S. military's operation in 2008 in Sadr City, it came at quite a devastating cost for the population there. The Mehdi militia also gained a lot of its support because at a time when the government was incapable or unwilling to step in, they were stepping in and providing basic services for the people. They established themselves as an alternative to the government. And that is really where they got a lot of their popularity. Following the battles in 2008, which really only lasted for a few weeks, and then there was a ceasefire agreement. The Iraqi army went into Sadr City. The U.S. military part of the agreement was not going to be setting foot inside there. So we went back to Sadr City and we met a man named Hussein. The street that he was on was very much one of the front lines for the battles that took place between the militants, the Mehdi militia, and U.S. and Iraqi forces. And he's still living in the same house that the strike took place in, although it's been rebuilt. He was a man who says that when Saddam Hussein first came down, he was so happy he was willing to kneel down and kiss the boots of American soldiers. That is a huge statement for an Arab man to make. And he now regrets that feeling with every single essence of his being. The U.S. military launched numerous airstrikes, numerous missile strikes into Sadr City. Hussein was sitting in a room with his daughter. His 2-year-old son, Ali, was chasing his mother as she was walking towards the kitchen. And then the strike happened. And Hussein says the whole world just went dark and collapsed on him. And when he finally was able to regain his bearings, everything bar the room that he was in.